Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan. If you didn't know, now you know. And you can probably tell by the title and the thumbnail of this video, plus the length, that we're gonna have a long conversation. So in this video, there are going to be many clips that I recorded periodically. There are gonna be many photos, and there's gonna be a lot of talking. So we're going to talk about my weight loss journey from my highest to where I am now. I also got you some stats. There's going to be some charts. We'll talk about those. We'll talk about measurements. I'm sure you can imagine a video like this is personal, a little uncomfortable, embarrassing. It takes a lot of determination to make a video like this because it exposes some of the worst parts of you, but I feel like telling you my story is not only going to help you get to know me better, but it may potentially help someone who was or is in a similar situation, and at the very least, potentially it can provide some insight or education into what life can be like for some people, what it has been like for some people. And I hope you find it informative at the very least. I'm gonna play the video clips of my journey after surgery. It's gonna start right after my surgery a year ago. It's been a year now. My intention was to make 6 months, but it turned into a year. And after the video clips, we're going to talk, and we're gonna look at photos and talk about them. So stay tuned. All right, so let's talk. Right there, I'm gonna start playing some photos. It's 2017. This is when I am at my heaviest. There's gonna be a lot of information, and you may have different feelings about it, but these are the facts. When I was at the heaviest, I was roughly 350 pounds. It was something that kind of came on over a long period of time. I was always a chubby kid. Everybody in my family is. We didn't have the knowledge on how to eat healthy, nor did we really have the resources to do so. I think most people are aware that healthy food costs a lot more than junk food. And as a kid, you don't really get as much choice in what you eat, but as an adult, you get a little bit more choice. However, without the knowledge, it's very challenging. So at this time, I did not know how to control this, and I would make efforts, but they would always fail. You know how diet life is. And so it's like you come to a point you're like, why even try? Because nothing works. And it got to where I was so big that even standing up caused excruciating back pain. It was in my lower back, and if I'd been standing for 2 minutes, the pain was so bad that my body would start to bend backwards, and it would be difficult for me to remain standing. And it wasn't because I was out of breath or exerted, it was just so painful. I went to all kinds of doctors to try and get pain relief, but nothing helped because the problem was still the problem. Eventually, I was able to learn what works. Eating what you consider healthy doesn't work. And going on diets where you only eat certain types of food doesn't work. The only thing that works for me is calories in versus calories out. You can lose weight without exercise, but you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. You have to be eating less calories than you're burning. And so that meant tracking calories, which is its own challenge. Eating pre-made food is the easiest way to do that. It's not the cheapest, and it's probably not the healthiest, but it's the most reliable. When you're making it yourself, you're more guesstimating. You're doing your measurements, and you're hoping to get it close enough. Either way, I did that for a year. And in that year, I lost 60 pounds. So after that, I kind of fell off the wagon, and I fluctuated in a 10-pound window for a while. And it took me the next, 4, maybe a little bit more, 4 to 6 years, I guess, to even lose another 30 pounds, because I mostly just remained at the same weight, and most of that 30 came in 2023 during my pre-op period. So I had attempted to get weight loss surgery multiple times, but it was always foiled for different reasons. Sometimes it was an insurance issue. The closest I ever got was right before COVID, and then COVID stopped it. So then once that all started to clear up and things were getting back to normal, we were able to give it one last try. And this time we were successful. Now, with the pre-op diet, it is to shrink your liver, and doctors can vary in their opinions on what that means, but for me, that meant liquids. So only liquids, except one small meal within the confines of some guidelines per day. And so protein shakes, sugar-free Jell-O is a solid liquid, broth, that kind of stuff, that's fine. And then I would have this one little frozen chicken and broccoli steamable each day. And typically your doctor will prescribe you doing this anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. Mine gave me 3 to start off with. He did. It is what it is. So I did my 3 weeks, and I was starving, and I was malnourished, and my eyes started to get hollow and darken, and I was sick all the time, and I didn't have energy, and I didn't have strength. And then I let them know, how I was feeling, and they let me start having a cheese stick and a cup of yogurt additionally to that liquid diet each day. And this was like 2 weeks in at that point, and it made a huge difference. Just that little bit more nutrition made a huge difference. I stopped feeling like I was on my deathbed. So we get up to time for surgery, and there's a delay. Another week. So I stayed on this strenuous diet for another week. So overall, I had a total of 1 whole month of pre-op starvation. And in that time, I dropped quite a few pounds, because how could I not? Surgery itself wasn't that difficult. It takes a few hours, and I was only in the hospital for 1 night, and then you get to go home. When you go home, your first month, you are still on that liquid diet from before, but without the supplemental foods. Luckily, once you have I had gastric bypass, the full RNY, not the sleeve. Once you have gastric bypass, they separate a piece of your stomach from the main part. And the main part is where a lot of your hormones and feelings are. So you're not starving after surgery because you can't feel anything. You no longer experience hunger pains. Even to this day, I have never felt my stomach growl again, and the way that I experience hunger is different. So it's not the same alerts like it was before. So now sometimes it feels like I'm actually full, which was misleading at first because I'm like, man, I need to digest. Why do I feel so full? But really I'm hungry. Because then if you put some food in there, suddenly it's fine. Wild. The results can be vastly different from person to person. Some people have all kinds of side effects, all kinds of pain and intolerances, and I had none of that. There was very little pain afterwards. Of course, there was some pain from my incisions, but that went away as they healed. And I didn't really have a lot of internal pain. Food didn't cause me pain. There was nothing that I was no longer able to tolerate or didn't like anymore. Some people's taste buds even changed. So it's a blessing and a curse because yes, it's great that I don't have a lot of side effects, but also aversion therapy works. And because I didn't have any adverse reactions, I was easier to eating things that I shouldn't or that could be a better choice or in a smaller, slower amount, that sort of stuff. So you do your liquid month and then you do another couple weeks of soft, so like near liquid, puree type things, and then you get to move up for another couple of weeks of semi-solid, so it's like mush, but it'll stick to your spoon. Like you don't need to chew, but it's not liquid. And then after that you can go to the full-on diet, but it is with caution. You have to learn to eat really slowly, and I still struggle with that even to this day. If it's delicious, I'm like, let me wolf it down, but do not do it. You will get full suddenly, and it's too late to take it back, and it's really uncomfortable, and you feel like you're full up to here, and you got to lean back so your lungs have room to expand. Terrible feeling. So I try not to do that, but occasionally mistakes are made. So I'm going to insert here the video clips. I started taking these video clips right after surgery, and I did them incrementally over the past year. And so these are just little check-ins on where I was at, how I was feeling, all that good stuff. And after that, we'll resume the after surgery photos and we'll talk some more. Hey guys, I am making this footage just in case. So it is the night before my surgery. If this is in a video, it is because I decided to make one documenting basically my journey. And so in the morning, I am having the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass surgery. There are all kinds of reasons that people have this surgery. For me, I have struggled my whole life with my weight, and I've lost 100 pounds, almost like 95-ish pounds by myself, but it's been really difficult and it's taken a long time, and I've not made very much progress in the last few years. So this is my next step. It's big, it's a difficult road. There have been many, many, many months and actually years that I've been working on and having to start over because of this reason or that reason. And then there's been delays. I had to do
an extra long liver shrinkage diet, which made me feel really bad for a long time. But I'm okay now, and tomorrow we're going to get the hard part over, and then we start the road to recovery. So I'll get some more footage then. Okay, so I'm about 24 hours post-op, still at the hospital, but they did let me put regular clothes back on. I'm sleeping a lot. All I did yesterday was sleep, so I've been able to stay awake for like 5 hours today, but I am still very tired, and I'm expecting to go home here in a little while. I just don't know what time. They haven't figured that part out yet, except that it'll be afternoon. I'm getting better. There's less pain, so that is good. I'll check in with you later. It's been 3 days since my surgery, and I've lost 3 of my swelling pounds. I am not down to the weight that I was before I went into the operating room, and it is not weight that I've gained from eating, because I haven't. Still can't tolerate even protein. So it's just water in very small doses for me for the time being. I have tried a few sips of protein shake, and it just fills me up and stays that way, and then I'm not able to get any more water in, which is causing me to be dehydrated. So no more protein for the time being. I have a follow-up appointment here in just under 2 weeks, and so hopefully by then I'll have made some progress to talk about. But 3 days I have started wearing shapewear, because the binder they gave me, while it helps, it rolls up. I have a body shape that is not conducive to things that don't wrap around the legs also. So I had to put on some that I actually already owned. It's like shorts, except tall, and that helps a lot. Though not as much as the binder, except this doesn't roll up, which makes it better. So if this is something that you are doing, I would definitely recommend getting some that is comfortable for your body type, because when I don't wear anything, when I stand or if I'm laying down and I want to roll over, I have to hold my stomach so it doesn't hurt, because it feels like it's pulling on the incisions. So having something to hold that stable is really beneficial.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a little check-in with you. Pardon that I'm looking at me in the camera and not at the camera. It's hard, but it is a few days in, and I've had some nights that are better than others with sleeping, so let me tell you kind of about the experience. So when I left the hospital, they gave me this for a binder. It, wraps around you, whatever, holds you in. Fantastic. However, with my body shape, I get wider right here. And so it would go from here to here, but that meant everything right here, when I would sit, would widen, and so it would roll up, which caused it to pinch me here. This was not a great solution for me. So what I ended up doing, this is just a tank top, is I have this other shapewear, and it just goes to here, all the way around, and it's shorts. They go down to about right here. And so being that it's shorts, it keeps it from rolling up. And they don't roll down, which is great. And this is comfortable. It's a thinner material. And there is this stuff in here, which most of them I imagine have, but it works. And then also, about every quarter of the way around, there's this boning. And so I find that to be really important. Any shapewear that I've tried that doesn't have the boning doesn't end up staying. Now for my back side, it is a little bit lower. So I have to remember sometimes to pull it up, and it'll get on up there and it'll stay. And so not only does it hold this part in, but it holds this part in, and it makes my pants look huge. So that is great. So I slept in this last night, and that has prevented the pain from when I turn onto my side. This part, it pulls at my stitches, and so it hurts. But this was holding it in, so I was able to sleep comfortably. The previous night, what my solution was holding a pillow to it, and then like packing some in there to support for me to lean against.
But that's not an ideal solution either. So this shapewear is working best for me so far. So if that's something that you find challenging with, see if you can't get one of a similar shape so it doesn't roll up on you. When it rolls up and cuts you in half, that's not better. And then that's also aggravating your incisions. If I can find the link to this shapewear, because I already owned it, I will include it in the description.
Hey there, I just wanted to do a quick check-in. It has been a week, technically Thursday to Thursday, so 8 days. Since my surgery, I have been able to move from water consistency to protein shakes. I'm able to digest those again, so that's really great. I am about to start experimenting with blending soups with chicken broth to make it also a very thin consistency so that I can have more flavors, because I feel like diet foods are catered towards people who love sweets and I don't. I'm more of a savory person myself, so I would like some flavors that are not dessert and fruit. So I'm gonna figure that out, and I may let you know about that by the time you see any of this footage. Anyway, it's going to be so far after the fact, and it's going to be a compilation of these little check-ins anyway. But things are going well. I feel well, and we're making progress. So, I realize this looks terrible, but this is the camera inside the laptop. I already had it open, so I figured to use it. So it's been 2 weeks since my surgery. Officially 2 weeks. I had my follow-up. I have been able to move from liquids to purees. Everything is going well. I've not had any complications, not really been much in the way of pain, no acid reflux. Everything's been fine, except I haven't lost any weight, just like zilch. My surgeon said, don't worry about it. We'll check in later. The first couple of months are, this, that, or the other. I don't know. I see a lot of people in the surgery group that have lost a ton already just in the first 2 weeks, and it's discouraging, and it kind of hurts my feelings because it makes me feel like something went wrong and it's just being disregarded. But also everybody's journey is different, and so maybe this is just how it is. Maybe it will eventually start to work. I don't know why it's not working. I am following the rules exactly. The science is happening. I am at a severe calorie deficit. I'm usually getting between 400 and 700 calories a day. I should be losing weight by any logic, but I'm not, and I don't know why. These check-ins are probably going to get a little bit more infrequent because there's not a lot of updates to be had. In 1 more week, I'll be able to switch to soft foods, and then 2 weeks after that, it'll be going to full textured foods. So those are the milestones that I'll be coming up on. I'll make some check-ins if anything changes, if there's anything to talk about. Otherwise, I probably won't put another little check-in until I make it to the full foods. So that'd be 3 weeks. And I'll let you know how it's going.
All right. I just wanted to do a check-in. It's been a month plus about a week and a half. So a month and a week and a half. So roughly 40 days since my surgery. And in this time, from my weight going into surgery to where I'm at now, I have lost 17 pounds. Yes, 17. So that is a good amount in the grand scheme of things for this time frame, but it is a low amount relatively to a lot of other people in similar situations. And so just wanted to bring that up because everyone's journey is different, and apparently mine is going to be slower than some. I don't know why. I don't know if it's biology or if it's because I spent so long in starvation mode up front, or because I lost 95 pounds before my surgery, and maybe a lot of people have water weight to go through and that helps to cut down. I don't know. But I am making progress, and that's what is important. I have checked my measurements, and there hasn't really been any change in my size, but to be fair, 17 pounds is not a lot when you're a big person. That's not a size change. So I'm still waiting to like size down some things, but I'm not in a hurry because it's not like I want to buy a whole new wardrobe. I do know that some of my clothes are already loose, but of course they are because of how much weight I've lost previously. So I do at least have still things that I can use. And I feel like when I take photos, I can actually kind of see a difference right here. Maybe you can see there's like a bit of a hollowing. So that's probably where the 17 pounds came from, to be fair. I haven't really discovered any intolerances towards any kind of foods. Haven't had any health issues, any side effects, any difficulties. It's been a relatively easy journey so far, albeit a little bit disappointing at times. However, it's not terrible. I'm making progress. I feel good. I'm okay with that. We'll keep working on it. These updates are probably going to get bigger time spans in them because we don't need to have the same conversation frequently when nothing has changed. Hopefully, though, with these clips being pieced all together the way they are, that maybe we'll be able to see a difference in my face. And I may even put in like some periodic photos like somewhere over here or something of my whole body so that maybe we can see some changes there as well. I don't know. By the time anybody sees all these clips, it's going to be a while down the road because we need to build up a little bit of footage and something to show. So that's it for this check-in. So I figured I would do my little check-in right now. I am driving, of course. I just left my 2-month follow-up appointment from my surgery. As of today, when I weighed myself, I am finally down to an even 20 pounds of loss. And so 20 pounds in 2 months sounds like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's not a lot in the bariatric scheme of things, which is okay. Everyone's journey is different. And apparently I have some more difficulties with, genetic modifiers that make weight loss harder, plus the distribution of my weight. So my weight is mostly in my lower half, and the type of fat that it is harder to cut, so my surgeon says. So that may be why it's a bit slower. But he also says that while some people do a dramatic drop at first and then kind of level off, that it's also an option to just do a slow decline. And so maybe that's my situation. Maybe it's just going to take longer, but at a more steady pace. I don't know. We'll see. It's still very early in the process to be making any assessments. I remain optimistic. I have still not run into any intolerances or complications or consequences or issues. I feel fine. And I am now able to consume enough water throughout the day to be hydrated. I just have to make sure that I'm doing it frequently. Like when I'm at work, sometimes it's hard to have time to have a drink. So I have to make sure that I am making that time and thinking about it, because hours can go by and then I'm dehydrated. But I'm doing better about that, and I am able to eat pretty much anything, but I still have to make good choices with high protein, low carb. And so I'm still prioritizing those things and making sure I'm getting in all of my vitamins, which is so many vitamins. I spend my time being full on vitamins. At this point, I call it cereal. But that's my check-in for my 2 months. I'll make another one here after a while. I'm not exactly sure how far out I'll be by the time
I cobble all of these together and make a post-op video. Maybe I'll do a 6-month. We'll see. You'll know when you're watching this because you'll see all of the time that has passed. All right, time for our next check-in. I'm gonna try and look at you. If I look over here, it's because I'm looking at me in the screen. So it's been 4 months. Twice as much time has passed since the check-in. The last one, 2 months. It's 4 months now. 4 full months. Tomorrow is going to be a brand new month. And I am down 38 pounds. I'm almost to an even 40. So in the last 2 months, I've lost almost another 20 pounds. But with great effort. So I find that most days, if I eat food, it makes my progression more difficult. But if I only have protein shakes, then I can get some results. I'm not taking as many vitamins as before either. I have been reduced on that, so I don't spend all my time full on vitamins, but I do spend most of my time being full. Now you can see a little bit of difference in me. So like I'm getting kind of hollow here, but I don't know what to do about this. Like I've been trying to use eye serums, but it's like, it's fatty under here. And so it's like, it's not really doing anything, even temporarily. So that's the thing that I have now. And then also my neck, there's this cavity. So it'll like come right here, and then this part is sunken. And you can see it a lot in photos. That is happening. I assume it will get worse. So that's great. But overall, I feel like my neck is thinner. My face is definitely thinner, which I appreciate. I'm not bald yet, which I also appreciate. And I'm down some inches, not a bunch, but I am almost a whole pant size down from when I checked in last time. So at that time, I could put on a 20 and it was comfortable, but it wasn't loose. But now they are loose, and loose enough that I can like pull them out. So I could probably put on an 18. I just have not tried it yet because I don't have any. And my 20s are not falling off yet. So that's good. I did start doing like measurements. So occasionally when I remember, I measure my different body parts to see what I've lost. And so far the results have been nearly nothing, pretty minimal. Some parts don't seem to be different at all. Some parts are different by a fraction of an inch, but also my measurements may be inconsistent. So you can't really rely on that much. It's still working. That's the important part. It is still working, and I am still working on it, and we're going to continue. And I'll check in again. Maybe in 2 months. We'll see. Hey guys. So I actually forget to record the updates on these from time to time. It's June. It's actually the very last day of June. So it's like 7, 8 months post-surgery instead of 6, pardon me. I am at 202 pounds, and I have been kind of stuck right here for a couple weeks now. Hopefully we can get that resolved, but I mean, that's progress. So I've lost about 50 pounds since my surgery, which is not a great amount in the time frame that it has been. However, progress is progress, and we must remain positive and at least grateful for the success that we have had. Obviously, you can tell there has been a change in my face. There has certainly been a change in my body. I may be including some photos in here somewhere, maybe, I don't know. And I think I might actually go out a little bit longer before I stick all these videos together to make you one long video. Since I missed the 6-month part, might as well just go to a year and see where we're at. So that is the update for now, and we'll see what we get before we finish this thing up here. Well, hey, I just wanted to pop in here real quick. It's been 10 months. I'm about to go to one of my follow-up appointments. I am down to 190 pounds, and I have been stuck this way for a little while now. I'm hoping to make some more progress, but we'll see. I am not going to live my life stressing about what my number is. What matters is how I feel, and I feel good. I am mostly pain-free. I wear a size 16 currently. I would be cool if that were less. We'll see. I do intend to continue to make efforts to get those remaining pounds that I don't want out of here, and then we'll see where we go from there. But I wanted to check in, and here once we get to the year mark, I'll probably do another little clip of this, and then we'll do a little wrap up, and I'll insert photos because the difference is vast. When I look back at my photos even from a year ago, it doesn't seem realistic. I'll definitely include some though. So that's it for this check-in. Okay, well, how did you feel about what you saw there? I went through a bit of a roller coaster. It was rough to hear everybody's progress. They put you in this support group and everybody's doing so well and everybody's losing so much weight right away and so quickly, and it just wasn't like that for me. It took me the first 3 weeks to lose 10 pounds. Some people lose 10 pounds in the first week. And there were plateaus, and it was a slow downhill, and it was discouraging. But progress is progress, even if it's slow progress. And so you have to keep your mind in the right frame. You can see as these pictures scroll by, progress is happening. But because it's so slow, you can't see it. And I became neurotic with weighing. So you really don't want to weigh frequently because the changes are so small that you may not see any changes on the numbers for days. And then you might change by a couple pounds. And so I had to stop doing that and keep it to at least once a week gaps in between. More weeks is even fine. And so that's better. I am much better about not neurotically weighing, but I do still check it regularly. And as long as I see progress, it's great. Now, there have been occasions where it went up a couple of pounds. Stuff happens. You go on a vacation or something, or holiday, it can get a little out of hand. But you got to get it together. And I did. And we've been maintaining, and everything is going in the right direction. And that is what is important. I have wasted so much money buying clothes because you change sizes so quickly that by the time you get up a good little selection of clothes, they don't fit anymore. There are clothes that I bought and never got to wear because by the time I got around to it, they just didn't fit. They were too big. And it's a really interesting phenomenon. When you're going up in size, you know it's time to size up when your clothes don't fit because they're too tight. But when you're going down in size, it's not the same thing because it's hard to judge when they're big enough that they're the wrong size as opposed to where they're big enough and they're falling off. And so for me, they would be falling off big before I would get more clothes, which is great because I don't need to buy clothes constantly, but you don't know how far down you need to go. And so oftentimes you would just size down, but it wasn't enough. And so then you just bought more clothes that are still too big. And so you just don't get much use out of them. Measuring has become so important. You've got to get like a body tape measure and measure your inches and keep track of that, which we're going to talk about. Because reading those sizing charts is going to save you a lot of struggle and guesswork. They don't always work, but they're helpful. And measure the waist and match that to the size chart. If the rest of it doesn't match, whatever, because body shapes are different. Make the waist match the chart. And for the most part, you'll be okay. I also had to go down in bra size, and that was some trial and error. I had to just go get a whole wide variety of them and just try a bunch of crap on, because there is no consistency with bras. You just one day realize that your cups are collapsed and you're like, So that's a thing. Fortunately, I have maintained at least a decent shape. There are lots of ways that your fat can be distributed, and I feel like I was at least lucky in the way that mine is distributed. And I do have my fair share of excess skin. There are things I would like to fix, but they're not as bad as they could be. Some people do get worse skin problems, so I am glad that I am not facing that. Now, should the opportunity arise, absolutely, I'm going to get everything put back where it belongs or where it should have been in the first place but never was. But that may never happen. Who knows? What's important is I feel tremendously better. I don't have the pain. It's not just less, it's nil, gone. I can stand for as long as I want, and it's fine. I can wear shoes that I haven't been able to wear in ages because my feet were too fat. I no longer have to take my blood pressure medication. Everything is so much better. It was worth every bit of struggle caused by the calorie counting and then the surgery and the after surgery stuff. And I ended up getting the surgery in the first place because of how stagnant I was trying to lose the weight the old-fashioned way. It's so hard, so you've got to use the resources you have, whatever that means. I definitely do not regret it at all. Best decision I've ever made. So, it's 1 year later, and I am technically 18 pounds away from my goal. I started at 350. I want to get to 150. As of recording this video, I am at 168. I have not been this small since I was a teenager. My entire adult life has been dominated by my weight. My mind frame has not been able to recover from that yet. I still mentally exist in the same space. It does not come naturally to me to believe that I can fit into small areas or that I am light enough for whatever activity it is. I don't know if I can jump differently because I have not attempted it. Now, there are some longer term consequences of being heavy for so long. Like, one of my knees is super raggedy. My hips kind of crap. I go to the chiropractor every week to get my body popped because if I don't, it gets rusty. Like, there's been a lot of damage that happened over the decades that you can't undo. But it's a lot better. Much, much better. And at the rate I'm going, I expect I'll be able to make it to my goal by spring, hopefully sooner, but I'm giving myself a little bit of wiggle room. And so that's a couple of months from now. Once I get there, I don't know what the plan is. We'll reevaluate. Maybe I will just start eating in a way that keeps me there. Maybe I'll lose a little bit more if it's still trending that way. That's fine too. Obviously, you don't want to let these things get out of hand and go too far. You don't want to become too small that it becomes a health issue. I also do not want to lose what little shape I actually do have. So, gotta keep that. So we'll see. But for now, I am happy. I am certainly much healthier. I feel better physically and mentally. The way that I perceive existence is different. I live a happy life, and I have so much more self-esteem. I feel like I am a more valuable human being. I feel like I have the right to expect more out of life and people because I deserve it, which is unfortunate because it just makes you realize that sometimes you don't see it that way. I know logically that I was still valuable before, that I still deserved all of the things, but also I can see why I didn't, because look what I let happen. I should have been able to control that, hypothetically, but it's just never that simple. It's never as simple as just stop eating, because food is the hardest drug to kick, because you can't go cold turkey on food addiction. You just have to manage it. It's like saying, I only need to do a little bit of drugs each day. That sounds crazy, right? Like this destructive thing, I just need a little bit because I need to get by. That's what addicts say. But with food, that's true. You do need a little bit to get by. It's a slippery slope, and it can get crazy real quick. So, we've looked at the videos. We've looked at the photos. Let's talk numbers. I have my phone here so that I can look at this photo while I talk to you about it. But the photo that you're seeing next to me is my graph from when I originally started dieting. This was before 2017, far before it, like 2014. I was up to over 240 pounds, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And so that's when I attempted to lose weight the first time. And it was a calorie counting situation too, but I wasn't as good at it or as strict about it. And I got down to about 210, and I felt great about myself. I felt like I was doing the right thing. I was on the right track. And then I don't know what happened. It fell off. And as you can see, it just went up and up and up and up and up. And there were spikes where I tried to go back down. I tried to get it together. And it just got to where I stopped even checking, because checking my weight was depressing because it was always worse. Sometimes it takes having a good mental breakdown to get your shit together. So that's what happened. I wigged out. I became unraveled, and I was desperate. And so I tried again, and I was super strict about it, and I would not be derailed. And I also learned giving myself one cheat day a week preserves my mental health. Not giving yourself a cheat day and always being strict makes you kind of unstable because you're like, where is the leniency? When will I ever get to just be? So one day a week, I would eat whatever I want. Fortunately, I'm not really a sweets person. It's carbs that get me. But with me eating better the other days, when I would do whatever I wanted, it wasn't extreme because what I wanted wasn't extreme. It was within what I would normally eat, except sometimes maybe I would go to a restaurant, but I would try and still make responsible choices. And I still try to make responsible choices with that stuff. I barely ever eat carbs anymore. I still love them, but I don't crave them. So then you can see here on my chart where it kind of levels off for a while. That's that period where I was kind of stuck and struggling. You see it goes up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. And then at the end, that's when surgery happened. And we're going to continue. I don't have a lot further to go. And so this chart isn't going to change in appearance much. But it's something to look at. When I look at it and I see the numbers on here, it's crazy to think that that happened. When I look back at my old photos, I don't know how that ever existed. It doesn't look like the same person. I don't remember looking like that. When I would think of myself, when I would look at myself, it didn't seem that way. It was like a shallow Hal situation. What I saw is not the same thing I see in those photos. I don't know. I cannot explain it. All right, let's look at this photo. So these are my measurements. I started measuring after surgery on January 15th. So a month and a half after. So we've got my neck from when I started till now, because I measured today. I've lost 3.5 inches off my neck. My upper arm, this part, I've lost 4 inches. My chest, I've lost 9.5 inches. Waist, 9 inches. Hips, 11.5 inches. My underbust, this part, 8.5 inches. My wrists, 2 inches. A wrist. My thighs, 8 inches. Calves, 2.5 inches, which is interesting. My calves have maintained most of their proportions, so hopefully that means there's a lot of muscle in there. I don't know. Ankles, 1.75 inches. So overall, all of the inches, 51.75 inches of shrinkage all over my body. Like you can see this pie chart that shows you proportionately the areas that lost the most amount. Hips is the biggest, followed by chest and waist and underbust. And I get it, because that's all like the main parts of the body. That's where a lot of that is. So that makes sense. And I'm going to keep these measurements going because it's important to know your measurements as well as your weight, because muscle weighs more than fat. So hypothetically, you could gain weight. The numbers could go up, but the measurements may still go down because technically you're still losing weight. You're just gaining muscle instead. So it's important to have as much data as you possibly can. Obviously, you don't have to. If you don't care about the science and the numbers like I do, that is totally fine. That is up to you. Whatever works. But for me, I think it makes it easier if I'm able to see the information, because you can't always feel it. And I like to be able to look back and see the changes, the achievements, the hitting mini goals. I gave myself rewards. When I got down to 300 from 350, I gave myself a reward. And then when I got to 275, I gave myself a reward. I was 255 when I had the surgery. I lost 95 pounds by myself before surgery. And then after that, I have not been on the same reward system, but I did have a little celebrate when I made it under 200, because Wonderland is a magical place that I have not seen since I was a teenager. And so it was a huge achievement. Huge. I celebrated that for sure. And then it's continued down. I had a little bit of a plateau there in the 180-ish area. But again, we're down to 168. And it's amazing. Currently, I wear a size 14 in jeans, but they're baggy. You saw some photos of me holding the side out. I've got some 12s coming in the mail. We're going to see. My struggle with that is my thighs are still thick. So while I might be jamming my thigh into the leg, there's room at the waist. So I wear bombshell jeans. They're the only jeans because they're the only ones that are shaped for someone with a little waist and then larger right under that. So they help with the gap in the back, but I'm still having to pull them back up every once in a while because as you walk, they and work their way down. Also, I wear a lot of tiny shirts now. A lot of my shirts are half shirts, and I've cut a bunch of shirts that I had before because they were dresses now. Just chop them in half. They might be wide and baggy, but that's just comfortable. I wear tiny shirts. I had to buy new jackets because all of my jackets were massive. I bought a coat the other day that's a size medium. Imagine that. For the most part, I wear a large now. But I don't have a lot of large clothes because that doesn't make sense to me. I'm still in extra large brain, but I am not. It is so hard to know what's going to be the right size other than trying stuff on. And size consistency for women is a myth. So I try on pretty much everything that I buy except my jeans because I only go down one at a time and I only buy 1 to 2 pairs at a time because I bought 10 pairs when I first lost a big chunk and most of them I never wore. Huge waste of money and they're really expensive. So that's what I do. And at some point I expect to be able to stop having to buy new sizes and then maybe I can work on building up a wardrobe. Also, don't be afraid to exchange clothes. Get some used ones. You got a friend, y'all swap sizes, swap clothes. You ain't gonna keep them long anyway. Just put something on your body. My face is so different now. I obviously much prefer it, but there's things I don't like right here. This is kind of weird. And then my bags, they just always look sunken. There's nothing I can do about it because my face just isn't as fat. My piercings even fit differently. I had to get shorter lip rings. My neck, I can touch my fingers around it. I can't say when I was able to do that last. I can touch my fingers just barely around my wrist. That hasn't happened in a decade and a half maybe, you know? It has been a journey. It has been an eventful year, but it's been a good year. Not only did I have this miraculous transformation, but I've also made a lot of progress with my career and my hobbies, and I'm spending my time in ways that make me happy instead of just trying to get by. I know logically that all of the improvements are not directly related. There's a lot of fortune that has just come along, but I feel like this past year has probably been the best year, like, of all of them. And I think next year will be better. It's about to be a brand new year, and I've got hopes, and I've got dreams, and I've got goals, and we're gonna see what happens. I don't know how long this video ended up being, you know, because you can see the timestamp, but I hope that it's been everything you hoped it would be. I hope it's been informative, educational, interesting, insightful, whatever. This is all my personal business put on the internet for strangers to see and judge. And I cannot imagine what kind of comments I'll get, but when you go to leave one, try to be a decent human being and understand that not everybody's journey is the same. And sometimes we have really hard parts. But hey, we've made it to the end. If there are any questions that you have, anything additional you want to know, leave them in the comments. I will do my best to give you the most honest or the most informational answer possible. I don't know what I forgot to mention or what I intended to mention and didn't. I don't know. It's a big subject and it can be a whole conversation, but with me talking by myself, I just say what I say. So definitely, if you want to know more, just ask. I will be happy to continue the conversation. I doubt you'll see any more videos like this, but if you watch my videos regularly, you'll see. You'll see what happens. Thank you again for watching this video. Please do make sure you are subscribed. If you like my content, hit the like button. If you liked this video, the algorithm thanks you and so do I. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.